Toby is the official sponsor of Substratum 611.
Yes, he's the mascot. He's our mascot. Let me say hi to him. He's a big boy. Ah, there he is. Hey, big fella. Hey, puppy. You want to look in the camera?
Toby's our executive producer. He's what helps us produce the endorphins to keep going.
Oh, yeah. You won't remember my name. This is the last time you will see me at the top. My doubts will destroy my dreams. The more I seem to learn, the more I seem to lose. I want to carry on, but not today. This is the point where I give up. But not today. I want to carry on. The more I seem to lose, the more I seem to learn. My dreams will destroy my doubts. You will see me at the top. This is the last time you won't remember my name.
6 days a week, twice a day.
Yeah,
About.
at least, yeah. 3 hours. I would say I do about 3 hours of jiu-jitsu a day.
So that's easy 1,000 hours a year.
Yeah, man, you got to get those 10,000 hours. That's what everyone says, right?
What's the difference between doing something that you love and doing something because you're curious about it? Because doing 1,000 hours a year is a lot. But if you're like trying something out, like if let's say someone came to jiu-jitsu just because they were curious about it, but they didn't really find the value out of it, they might put maybe an hour a week, 2 hours a week, and then times 52 weeks, it's only about 100, about a tenth of what you do. So what's the difference? What gives you that drive to do something that you love versus something that you might not like?
Well, I would say for me, I kind of started that way, right? You start by being curious, and for me, the curiosity just never ended. I keep coming back because I am still curious about it. There's so much to do, so much to learn.
Yeah, but you do it because you love it, not because someone's telling you to, not because there's someone on social media was like, hey, jiu-jitsu is good for you. You do it because you just have that internal drive to keep going.
Yeah. And it's not just about, like, to me, not just about getting those 10,000 hours. I mean, you got to put quality work in during that time. So that's where it's like you got to find that balance.
So what's the difference between quality work and just subpar work?
It's going to be night and day. The work that you do, the product's going to either be phenomenal or it's going to be subpar. It's either going to have quality or it's not going to have quality.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like when I was an employee, you could do the bare minimum and still get paid the same, or you could push and try to do a little more, not for the company's sake, but for your own growth. So if you're in jiu-jitsu and you're trying to learn new stuff all the time, what keeps you from burning out?
It definitely has a lot to do with how you take care of yourself outside. And coming into every session with a purpose really helps a lot. Like, so I've been reading Submit Everyone by Dave Camarillo recently. Dave gave me that, or let me borrow his copy of the book to read. And it's really helped me recently to come into practice with a purpose of a specific move or a chain of moves or just a concept that I'm trying to accomplish or just put on someone else in the role. Or when we learn a new move, how does what I'm learning about at home, reading this book, translate to this situation, this move? How can I combo the things together? When you start to think about those the in-between things, right? The things that are, you could say, unspoken, it gets a lot more fun. I'm feeling like I'm getting that more recently.
If you were to explain to a 5-year-old what jiu-jitsu is and what it not only means to you, but also means to the people who do it, and why people continuously go back to jiu-jitsu and not like team sports like football or basketball.
Okay. Well, the difference between, I would say, jiu-jitsu or any combat sport really compared to like a team sport or a ball sport is, I mean, you put a kid in basketball or football or something, they'll have that for, say 10, maybe 15 years, depending on how young they start and how good they get. But most of the people are going to not play that anymore after high school, or if you're really good, you can play in college. But after that, you're not going to have that anymore unless you go pro. Jiu-jitsu, you put your kid in jiu-jitsu, they'll have that for their whole life. It's something that you can always go back to. It'll always be there. It's a great tool for self-defense, learning how to manipulate another person's body, how to move yourself, really. There's the 3 pillars that Dave talks about, right? Like moving yourself, moving with another and moving against another person. And when you get really good at jiu-jitsu, you'll make number 3 look like number 2.
Is there any way that you apply that to the real world? Like off the mats?
Probably should, right? Probably should. You can't just go around brute forcing things in traffic.
Hey, there's a kid. Push.
Push, yeah, get out of my way, hit someone in the face.
Like if you think about like the emotional control that you have to have on yourself, the self-awareness of, like when I, like 6 months ago before I started jiu-jitsu, a lot of my problems were I didn't understand my emotional side and how to regulate it to be able to, because I get a lot of ideas. I get a lot of, I live a lot in my head, and a lot of the times is I'll have an idea, but there's an emotional connection to it, or there's something emotionally that's holding me back from being able to pursue that idea further.
Yeah, right. It definitely makes you practice those things: emotional control, patience, humility. So like you said, it forces you to practice those things, because there's nothing worse. It doesn't matter how hard your life is or how sucky it is. There's nothing worse than having a 230-pound sweaty dude just smothering your face with his chest. I'm 205. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about a certain black belt that you know exactly who I'm talking about, that does it to me every single day. He just sits on me, and it is brutal. It hurts. He sits on me, on my ribs, like on my chest, and there's nothing I can do about it yet. But that's why I keep showing up, right? It's those kind of things. But like my point was, there's not much in the real world or in life outside of those mats that is worse than having to fight for your life.
And you said your family just wants you to be happy.
Yeah.
So what would you define happiness as?
To me at least, it's to be happy with, I think to be happy, I have to do what I love. I have to do, at least to me, it's like, I don't know, I can't see myself doing something every day for my life, whatever it is, a job or whatever. I can't see myself doing anything that I'm not so intrigued with, so interested in, and just in love with the process of it. So for me, that's like, I found that in combat sports and jiu-jitsu. And for whatever reason, like I just can't see myself doing anything other than that. Just and that's just very clearly shows to me how happy that makes me.
Mm-hmm. So it's something that you get up in the morning and you have a purpose.
Yeah. You should have a purpose when you get up in the morning, and not feel like you have to go through the motions.
Not having like just a consistent routine, because you're kind of like you've seen the Lego movie. You haven't seen it. Okay. Well, it starts out with the main character waking up and going through a routine, but a routine that you can find with anyone else in the entire world. And so it was kind of illustrating that he wasn't anything special, that he was just another person in the Matrix, kind of. And so, like when I wake up in the morning, I don't think, do I eat this? Do I eat that? What kind of clothes should I wear? Okay, I have to go do this today. I wake up and I'm like, hey, I should probably start editing because I need to get that done. So I just take like 10, 20 minutes, stretch, take a shower maybe, and then just get to editing. All right, there's no in between. There's no block that's like, well, this is going to be a really long day, or I have to talk to all these people I don't want to talk to. It's just, I like what I do and I want to keep doing it, but I know that there's going to be a lot of small little things in between that's going to stop me. And if I don't get through those tiny little things now, then it's just going to make me worse later on.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that in the way I wake up. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I got this, training at say noon. I'm gonna work out before that. Then after, I'm gonna do Muay Thai class, and then I gotta go home and get ready to go back to the evening class. There's just nothing. There's no reason not to in my head. I don't know. I'm just excited when I wake up in the morning thinking about training, thinking about what I'm gonna go do, whether it's in preparation for a tournament or not. It doesn't change the fact that I just love the journey and the process of this craft.
Yeah. Was there a time when you didn't have that purpose? or it wasn't as prevalent?
No, I feel like I've always had that kind of a mindset that I just, like it was with hockey. I played hockey my whole life, right? Until almost 2 years ago at this point. And yeah, that was my purpose. Like I got up in the morning, before 6 o'clock, like 5:30 in the morning to go skate. And there was no issue doing that. Like those kind of tough things to do, wake up super early to train, then go to school just to go to practice later after school. Like that was just all part of it. And it was part of the process that I really enjoyed because I had a bigger goal for it or with it.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years with jiu-jitsu, with your life?
Being world champion of some sort.
What does it take to be a world champion?
So I'm trying to figure out. I think just staying patient. Obviously, I'm not there, so I don't know what it takes to get to that point. But I think the path I'm on right now is exactly the path I need to be on, just to have that never-ending curiosity of what it is that I'm doing. Always trying to find the next thing. Obviously, trying to work and fine-tune the things that I'm good at, but finding that next thing to be good at, finding that strategy, the next part of the strategy that's going to make my game better.
Do you study any of the current or previous world champions about like how they got to where they got to and how you can apply that to your own life?
Absolutely. And I think the most common thing is to just believe in yourself and keep plugging away at it.
Yeah.
Almost give up other things in your regular life to just dedicate yourself to the sport and dedicate yourself to your goal. And you just wake up every day and that's what you do. You train every day. And you try to figure out, like, put the pieces of the puzzle together, and you don't expect anything for a long time. It's just part of the journey. You have to be obsessed with it. And that's the point where I'm at. I'm just absolutely obsessed with jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, judo, putting these things together. It's like that, I think it's a Vincent van Gogh quote. I know Conor McGregor said it. It's what is it? I dedicated my life to my art and I lost my mind in the process. Something along those lines. I'm doing something that to most people is crazy, just training all day, every day, instead of really pursuing school or pursuing a career and having a traditional career. And they think it's crazy, and some people probably even think that I'm stupid or have no plan for the future. And to me, it's like, no, I've found exactly what I need to be doing.
And is there a balance between being obsessed and also giving yourself time to process all the information? Because sometimes obsession can go too far, where you're like, you keep going and going and going, and then you get it. Like, so when I'm doing the podcast, when I'm doing editing and everything, there'll be times when I'm 100% obsessed with it and I kind of go into my own little world, but then I keep getting into the same loops and trying to solve the same problem over and over.
Well, I think
and
if you truly want it, you will grow. I think that the part of the obsession that it's only too much if you think it's too much. You know what I mean? Like, to me, the obsession is to make sure I'm not doing something unnecessary. I mean, it's just being obsessed with every part of it. Being obsessed with the fact that the physical part, the mental part, strategically, the recovery, like afterwards, when I'm not, what I'm doing outside of the mat room. Like I said, at home, the way I eat, the way I sleep, the way I hydrate, the way I study the game. That's all part of it. And that you turn I kind of turn my pastimes into continuing to study the craft instead of, like, most people will, play a bunch of video games or, do other things, to just, for leisurely. And I sit in my kitchen and leisurely read about jiu-jitsu. I think it's just it's an obsession because I want it to be. I don't see anything. I'm slowly starting to not find other things as interesting as jiu-jitsu or just the pursuit of the fight game. Trying to put those puzzles together. It's honestly making me want to pursue other things in my life to get better for that. for as an example, like puzzles, solving, like actually laying puzzles, playing chess, picking up other fighting sports like judo or boxing to supplement parts of jiu-jitsu. Train gymnastics. By myself, I've been, trying to learn how to do handstands and how to do handstand push-ups and cartwheels, and eventually going to go into flips and things like that. Just capoeira, just to learn
What's
how
that?
to. That is the national sport of Brazil,
Oh,
which interestingly enough, Brazilian jiu-jitsu is
it's
not.
not the national
It's not the
sport.
national sport of Brazil. It's capoeira, and it's kind of like it's like fighting. It's a very acrobatic, almost dancey type of a fight. They're not actually two people aren't actually hitting each other, but it's a lot of kicks and big movements, like jumping, a lot of flipping, and it looks very pretty. And it's very, you really have to be agile. It teaches you definitely like body control, and bodily awareness, much like gymnastics. Like I would say it's more like capoeira is more acrobatics than anything, but with like striking movements. That's why it's really cool. And that's just another way of learning how to move your body. Those are the kinds of things that I'm now getting interested in because of jiu-jitsu, because of fighting sports. Getting, that's like I said, the curiosity never ends. That's why I keep going back to it. It's taking me on these little side missions or side quests, to just more deeply understand how the human body works, how it moves, the potential that my body has.
If you were to kind of summarize into like three main things that keep you choosing fighting sports, why fighting, or why fighting sports and not just like engineering or business or medicine or something like that?
I don't know. I've always liked things that I to do with my body. Like I like moving my body. I like being physical, being athletic.
Is it like the endorphins, the dopamine, the
Probably, yeah. It's just I'm just happy doing it. I can just be very present doing it and very, like I said, just interested and curious about it. I can't say the same for almost anything else, especially not something that's inherently sedentary, if that makes any sense. I kind of,
something that's just like a desk job that
yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just, I've never been happy sitting still.
so it's more of a creative output, a creative way, not like just a standardized. This is the medication you give to this patient, and write this bill, and that's it. And then
Yeah, for me, the moving my body, the being physical is like my medicine. It's my therapy. It's like I said, it's an expression of, I think, what goes on in my brain. I've found a way that I can very easily find new ways to express myself, and it's really cool. It's really fun. I don't find that. Yeah, I need a creative outlet, is what I would say. I need a creative outlet, and that's I've found one that I think just suits me really well. Which is kind of funny. Like if you know me if you just know me, you probably wouldn't think that I would choose fighting to be my creative outlet. Like I'm just a very,
you're like a teddy bear.
yeah, just a kind person that doesn't really like confrontation, doesn't really like conflict that much.
Why not challenge people or try to be like the dominant person in a conversation or something?
Because I just don't feel the need to be. I like it more when I don't like being friends with people. You know what I mean? I like friendly encounters. If someone isn't reciprocating that and they're per se trying to be dominant, it's just something that I don't even feel slightly interested in engaging in, because it's not beneficial to me. Sometimes I didn't even think about those kind of things. You know what I mean? To me, it's not interesting, so I don't pursue it. Yeah, I like having friendly conversations. I don't like,
Don't like confrontation, don't like aggression, just
yeah, there's no need to be aggressive or confrontational. I think we're all here for different reasons, but we're all in it together. and there's no reason to go out of your way to put someone else down or to make sure everyone knows you're the top dog.
Have you met anyone in jiu-jitsu who kind of does that in a way?
Can't think of anyone in particular that has been like hostile like that. I think I've had a very good luck with training partners in our gym. We have a very good culture, and that's thanks to the attention to detail that our coaches have when it comes to that.
Why do you think that in jiu-jitsu that doesn't happen, or it's not as prevalent?
I think that there's less of that kind of brutish, like putting other people down mentality in combat sports in general, just because the proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? It's right there in front of you. That's why another thing that I like about jiu-jitsu and combat sports is just, it will never lie to you. It'll show you how good you are, or how much you've prepared, or how much you're thinking about it. It'll show you every time you do it.
It's actually funny. The last Grappling Industries event that we went to, so I think I still have your videos and everything. When Dave was rolling, because he's a black belt, how many? Do you know how many stripes he has?
He's a 2nd degree black belt. Yeah.
When he was, because Dave's the director and everything. And I'm always thinking, this guy is top dog. Like, he knows what he knows, and he can do. He'll probably win every fight that he goes into. But at Grappling Industries, he didn't. Like, I think 2 of the recordings that I did, he didn't win, or something like that. And I don't think any less of him because of that. But it's no matter how much you learn in a sport, no matter how much you go, there'll always be someone who is able to exploit your mistakes.
Absolutely. Especially the farther up you get, mistakes are definitely more costly. But yeah, there are a lot of factors that go into a fight, whether, how you're feeling like leading up to it, how your body's feeling, if you're sick or whatever. But yeah, absolutely. It's like that day, there was guys that got the best of him, but it doesn't change what he does on a daily basis. Or it might, because he might have a different game plan next time going into it, but he is still who he is, and he is still so good at what he does because of what he does every day.
I know it. So earlier you said that there was the recovery, and then you just mentioned that there's preparation. Is there like a 3-stage process? You have the preparation, the actual event, and then you have the recovery session, and then it kind of just cycles through it again?
How do you mean?
So if, like, let's say you're in a competition, you're trying to prepare for like the mindset, for going through all the different moves that you know what to do, what you do best, what you are weaker in, and then you have the actual competition, and then you have the recovery before your next match. When you're going, would that be like an accurate representation of the process?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're preparing and then when you recover, so not so much the actual match, but preparation and recovery, what do you do to make sure that your preparation optimizes yourself for the match, so that when you're with the person, when you're in the match, you're not overthinking? And then how do you make sure that your recovery doesn't hurt you? So so if you win or lose, doesn't matter. You won't either get more pride because you won, or you won't feel too bad if you lost.
Mm-hmm. I strongly believe that when it comes to competition, you don't rise to the level of your expectations, but you fall to the level of your preparation. So, and this is something that I've learned through jiu-jitsu, because I used to overthink a lot when I was playing hockey. I would think a lot about the things I'm going to do, what I'm going to try to do out there. And then it just, those opportunities wouldn't present themselves, or when they did, I would miss them, maybe because I'm waiting for that opportunity. So I've learned in jiu-jitsu to just trust the preparation takes place every day, basically. And it's every day in practice. That's how I'm preparing for the competition, because when I get to the competition, for me to feel the most free out there is to not really think about it at all. I definitely do have a game plan, and I think a little bit about what it is my first couple of moves. But other than that, I try not to think too much about it, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to get any better that day right before the competition. It's what I've done in the months leading up to it that's going to determine, and how I prepared my body just physically in the leading up to it. That's going to determine how well I do. And then after, you think about what went right, what went wrong, and then you shake it off. It doesn't matter if I won or lost. I think you have to be very okay with losing a lot, especially early on in the career. Like I'm still, I'd say I probably have around 60 jiu-jitsu fights at this point. I would say between white and blue belt, I have like 33 wins.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So it would be like, so it's not like 1/3 preparation, 1/3 match, 1/3 recovery. It's more like 50% preparation, 25%, or it's more like 60% preparation, 20% the match, and then 20% recovery, and then you go back to preparation. Or would you have a more skewed? Because it seems like it would take like 50 hours for you to prepare, and then the match itself is like only like 5 minutes, and your recovery process may be like an hour or two, just when also like sleeping on it and everything.
Well, that's the thing. In the tournaments, at least, you sometimes don't even have more than 5 minutes to recover and to go into your next one. So that's what I mean by shaking it off. You just have to focus on the next one, no matter if you won, no matter if you lost. You take the good and try to remember that. Maybe try to replicate it. Take the bad, try to make sure you don't do that shit again, or tweak whatever it is you want to. If you were close to something but slipped up somewhere, but ultimately it's just about being present, taking what comes to you, seeing the opportunities that lay before you, and take them.
So there isn't any recovery. It's just preparation, and then 95% preparation.
No,
and 5%
I would say
match.
most of my preparation is just getting my heart rate down, slowing my heart rate down,
Okay.
breathing. Focus on breathing to literally let my muscles recover as well as they can in the short span of time I have between matches. And other than that, if my opponent, my next opponent is fighting before me, I'll be watching.
Right, and seeing what their moves are, seeing what their tactics
trying
are.
to gather a little bit of a game plan for that particular person.
Kind of like business. You scoping out your competitors to see what they're doing well and how can you either apply that or exploit their weaknesses.
Yeah. For me, it might sound stupid, but I try not to put too much thought into it. That's why I like training as much as I do, because that's where I build my game plan and the habits that I fall back on. Because at the end of the day, the competition is just rolling. We do that every day. It's just rolling, but I finally get to go 100%. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. And it has really helped me not put so much pressure on myself when it comes to how I perform. Because like I said, it's one day. You know what I mean? It's one day, 5 minutes, if even.
Every competition's like what, 3 months between each one?
That I've been doing like 3 weeks, 4 weeks between competitions since August. So
1 month and then competition, 1 month, one competition. So if you do, how many? You said 3 hours a day, and then it's 30 days, so 90 hours a month, or let's say 100 hours a month. So you train, just hypothetically, 100 hours a month for a 5-minute session, and then another 100 hours a month for another 5 minutes. So most of your preparation, so 100 hours, reduce that to minutes, so 6,000 hours, 6,000 hours, 6,000 minutes. Need more caffeine. 6,000 minutes for 5 minutes of actual sparring, and then little break, 5 minutes. So, and how many matches do you do?
I mean, it depends. Can be 8, say average 8.
8, okay. So about 40, so you do 6,000 minutes for 40 minutes of actual results. And then you do another 6,000 minutes for another 40-minute results. So basically, it's all just preparation, and there's no recovery. It's just preparation includes the training, the behavior, so your mindset of what does your brain first think about when you're in a certain position, right? This, because it's like kind of like chess. Once you know how the other person plays, but you also know the rules of the game and what you can do, what you can't do, and the best moves in a certain position, it gets to the point where your chess match is 100% skill based. If you fail, you fail. But a lot of the training for a chess match isn't while you're doing the game. It's way before, learning from other people's mistakes, other people's moves. So you have training, you have the mindset and being able to identify patterns and exploit problems. And then you also have the, I guess like recovery within the preparation to be able to process that information, and then going back to training, learning everything, instilling that into your memory, and then keeping that in your memory, and then repeating over for 6,000 minutes, and then you apply that for 40 minutes, and then get wiped out, and then redo that entire process again.
It's kind of silly, isn't it? It sounds kind of silly.
It sounds silly.
Beautiful.
Well,
I'll take it one step further. You can say the whole thing is preparation. That's what I like to think about it. We're going on a trajectory like this, regardless. It can go up and down, but we're just preparing for what comes next. It's continuous growth the entire time. The whole time I'm preparing, those 6,000 minutes, I'm preparing for those 40 minutes, say, and those 40 minutes, I'm preparing myself for the next cycle of it, because it's going to give me a sense of direction for those next 6,000 minutes. And it's all preparing for something bigger, whatever comes next. Even the fight itself is learning and preparing for the future training and for the next fight.
Looks like the executive producer is here.
He's back. He's back.
So it's learning. Learning, retaining, or learning, remembering, retaining, and then the test of whether or not you actually retained it properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back to the very beginning. So it's just
but I think of it as one part. Like, it's just still your life. You know what I mean? It's just preparing for something else, and then you could say a test.
Well, test not like a traditional test where it's like multiple choice A, B, C, or D, and you choose one of those.
Exactly. That's why it's so amazing. There's endless possibilities. There's endless errors you can make and still win, or 0 errors you can make and still lose.
So it's just a test, but everything is, you have to fill in the blank.
Yeah, everything is fill in the blank. Exactly. And however you choose to do that is what fighting is to you.
Right. Or anything that's not just like a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah. Anything that's creative. I mean, we call it martial arts, right? Because it's an art form. But we like to also think of it as a science, because we're doing research, we're studying the process and studying what it means to do this and what you need in order to win.
It's all one continuous process.
Yeah, it's one continuous process, and it's kind of whatever you make of it.
Yeah.
That's why I like it. Fighting is whatever you make of it. And have you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
It's a great book by Douglas Adams. These aliens come and just destroy Earth, right? That's like how the book starts. Earth is just eradicated. There's this one guy that is friends with a guy that was an alien, but he didn't know that. And he helped him like get off the planet before. So then they all of a sudden just become hitchhikers in the galaxy, basically. And at one point in the book, there's this super mega computer that's supposed to have all the answers to life, all the life answers. And you're supposed to be able to ask it anything and it'll give you an answer. And these guys come up to this computer and they ask him, hey, I forget the name of the computer, but they ask, like, computer, what is the meaning of life? And the computer was like stunned. And he said, all right, give me 1,000 years. Come back to me in 1,000 years and I'll have an answer for you. So they wait 1,000 years, someone else, and 1,000 years later comes and asks the same question. And it said 42. And you're like, what? And 42 is like the numerical value of a semicolon, I believe. Or an asterisk. Yeah, semicolon. And the function of a semicolon is like whatever comes after it is whatever you make of it. It's something like that. Whatever you can put whatever, it's like you put whatever goes after a semicolon. So that is what it means by the meaning of life, is whatever you make of it.
Why not just say that?
Right? Because it's a computer. That's why. But yes, that was the exact same question. I was like, I just read this entire chapter just to find out that it could have been solved in one sentence.
So how do you make of it?
What do I make of it?
Yeah, how do you make of it?
What do I make of it? I make of it that it
improves your
Yeah, I would make of it that it's making me want to improve in all areas of my life.
I think Trey wanted me to ask you what happened with your girlfriend, or not what happened, but not what happened with it, but like how you were able to recover so quickly from it.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
if you want to,
Yeah, no, I don't care.
if you want to stare directly at the camera just so you talk to me, make it feel really uncomfortable.
There's no way she's gonna watch this.
No, not you, Trey.
Oh, Trey. Trey, you son of a. There's a lot of things I think holding me back from doing what I ultimately wanted to do for myself. I'm a very selfless person, and I can sometimes it's too what's it called? It's a gift and a curse. It makes me a lot of friends, but it also allows people to kind of
Take advantage.
take advantage.
Oh, so you're kind of like a people pleaser, not so much as a service person. Because I mean, I kind of have like two different people. There's people who try to please other people for the satisfaction of them like complimenting, like, "Hey, I helped you. Please give me some attention," or something like that. And then there's also the people who do it for service, like, I want to help you because I'm not better than you, but I'm at a different position where I can help you accomplish what you're doing in less time. So it's like there's service and then there's people pleasers. So would you say you're a people pleaser, or you're more of just, or maybe like an in between, like a hybrid?
I guess you can call it a hybrid. I don't care for anything in return. Like I give 100% and expect nothing. That's just kind of how I am. I like to give. It makes me feel good. I don't really need anything in return. And I think a lot of people can take advantage of that sometimes, because I have no issue continuing to give. Just, I don't know, kind of innate. It's just kind of how I am. But yeah, so I wanted to do a lot. Like if I'm with someone, I'm going to do everything for you. And even if that means maybe sacrificing some of the things that I want to do. And that's definitely not a good thing. That's something that I learned and will take into whatever my next relationship will be. But the reason I kind of pivoted very hard after we broke up is that I was just like, I have nothing to do but everything for myself. Now all of my energy that was spent, trying to say create a life with that person, or build a strong base to provide for that person, that all went away. And I'm like, okay, I have one person to please right now, and it's me.
Do you want to talk about what happened, or just?
That's not interesting. It's not interesting to people. I feel like I kind of lost myself in that relationship a little bit, because of that. And it took a big toll on me emotionally, because I'm just giving up kind of what I want to be and what I want to do.
Is it possible to have, like, if you have like two extremes, like realizing that not everyone, that you can't please everyone, or be like, you can't help everyone, but at the same time being too, not selfish, but too, that you completely don't want to help anyone else but help yourself? So being more self-centered or being more people-centered, is there a good balance between the two?
I think there should be. Like I said, innately, I will help people. I just, regardless of how much I'm helping myself, it'll just come out of me naturally. And I think that's been a struggle for me my whole life, is to be more selfish and to do the things that I want to do and take care of myself more than I make sure I take care of other people. So that's kind of the goal right now, because I know that I will always be there for others, for my friends, partner, whatever it is. I am that kind of person that people can rely on. The challenge and the goal that I have is to just be, for me to be able to rely on myself more.
Well, if you think about your family, you think about your parents and your grandparents and everyone, how do you want to? What kind of family do you want to have when you do get to that time?
I mean, if my relationship with my wife, my future wife, and my future kids can be anything like the way I grew up, that would be awesome. Like I said, I think my parents are the coolest people I know. How they have helped my sisters and how they have raised us It's just tremendous. Just, like I said, letting us kind of figure our own things out, always being there for support and giving us advice, but ultimately understanding that we're only going to learn by doing. And they're also there to be, I consider them, my parents and my family in general, like my best friends, like the people that understand you the best and are always there for you. You can have really good, like, it seems like a lot of people here in the US, like different, it's a different culture. It's a different relationship from in Europe or Sweden. I feel like a lot of people's relationships with their parents are, I wouldn't say hostile, but it's like you want to get away from them. It's a lot of, like you said, disciplinarian parents, and then kids that are just waiting to grow up so they can get the hell out of there. For me, I'm like, I want to sit down and talk to my parents. Like we sit down we have family dinners and sit down and talk for hours and just entertain one another, and have a genuine good time together. And I look forward to doing that, yeah, as long as they're alive, and then doing the same thing with my kids, just having that sense of togetherness.
How do you, based on how your family operates, because that is probably true, that America has like a different culture when it comes to raising kids. In Sweden or in your family, how do you make sure that there's both a level of, I want my kids to be happy, but I also want to make sure they know that there's a certain standard that has to be met for us to be productive, for the family to be a productive member of society? Because there's like, I want to be happy, but there's also the other problem, which is, well, I can do drugs. I can go into strip bars. I can waste my time with a lot of useless things.
Well, then you're free to do so. But is that really going to make you happy? You know what I mean? I think those are special cases. Like, that's not normal for people to be like that. Like you said, with the drugs and that kind of stuff. I don't know how they would make sure. I mean, you can't make sure, even, like, it still happens in both cultures. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it just comes down to, if you don't get the support and the support, and then also being able to communicate what you're feeling from a young age, then that kind of becomes the reason why people go into drugs, go into not normal things, because they didn't have that when they were a child. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's something I should ask your parents.
I think they've just always been, like I said, very supportive, very friendly, but also, teach the difference between right and wrong, and you live and you learn. That's kind of just like how it goes. Can't say too much about their mindset. Just the lessons I've learned have mostly been through making mistakes, and realizing that it's not the end of the world, even if you do. Like, coming home, I think a lot of kids feel the need to lie to their parents. They have a lot of pressure they feel like they have a lot of pressure on them. And I just don't feel like, because they will get punished if they make a mistake and things like that. And to me, I never really had that. Like, I didn't get punished for doing stupid things. It's enough to know that I've let them down, to not want to do that again.
Yeah, because my parents are more like, discipline will get you where you want to go, that you don't make the stupid decisions, and you have like a moral compass that you follow by, and whatever you pursue, while very supportive about it, that you pursue something that's admirable, that has some value to it. Like, instead of just being like a construction worker or something, be an engineer, be a doctor, be something that provides you value, that you won't be, you won't be hoping, or you won't be worried about putting money on the table, putting food on the table at night, but also something where you can help other people with not their problems, like their psychological problems, but like be a solution to someone else's problem, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Your family is more supportive. Like, it doesn't matter.
It's more like, no, it definitely matters what you do, and they're very big on going to school and, yeah, like you said, putting food on the table, and making sure that you have the ability to provide for yourself and for your my eventual family. But for the most part, they've always said that they just want me to be happy. As long as I'm happy, they're happy. with, you know, there's some parameters to that, right? Like I can't, if I was happy as a heroin addict, I don't think they would be like, yes, you know. I don't think you're happy, I'm happy, you're dying, yeah. It's no, their approach has kind of been to let me make my own mistakes and figure things out kind of for myself, or just through experience, I guess. They're always there with advice and support, obviously, but it's a lot of yeah, learning from past experiences, mistakes. Yeah.
That's interesting because I've seen in a lot of people, not that I know personally, but like maybe social media or something, where parents who are too lenient, like parents that will let their kids drive their Porsche and then crash it into a barrier and be like, they did that. That's all right. You know, and I just like, I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between being too hard, being like too much discipline and not having enough discipline. And then like, where's that happiness really come from if you don't have those standards of, my kids did something stupid and they should really know that that's not something they should do, but also that I'm there to support them.
I don't know. I feel like it's like a level of mutual respect. I really respect my parents, and because I feel that they respect me. And yeah, like I think it has to do with mutual respect and liking them. They're not just my parents. They are people that I genuinely like to be around, and I like to have good times with. So just that makes me not want to do things like that. Like I would never drive their car, crash it, and expect them to just be fine with it or to get me a new one or something like that. I think you act differently when you respect somebody and when you like them. Even if you don't like them, if you respect them, at least you act a certain way to make sure to try to get that respect back, because you want people to respect you.
Yeah, so would you say a lot of the respect that you got from your parents was also the respect that they gave each other?
Absolutely. Like if that was another point I was going to make about what I see with my future family. If I can have a relationship with my future wife like my parents have, at least obviously I don't know everything that goes on, but the way they have stuck with each other and through thick and thin, and the way they complement one another as personalities, is really awesome. It's really awesome. It's really lovely to see two people be together for that long and act like little kids around each other, like that are just in a new relationship. It's really funny to witness them banter like little kids.
And they still get into arguments. They still
sure. That's life.
Do your parents ever raise their voice to each other?
Yeah. Happens. It's life. Emotions run high sometimes, but they respect each other enough to resolve. That is more important than anything, is to resolve the problem or whatever it was afterwards. And I think, yeah, that could be a good thing. Like when I did get disciplined as a kid, if I'm acting up at the dinner table or something, and my dad might have sent me to my room or really raised his voice at me and made me go to my room for a bit. And that's part of discipline. But then he would always come to my room, after a little bit, after I've calmed down for a little bit. And first and foremost, he would apologize for maybe raising his voice or for grabbing me a certain way. But he would make sure I understood why he had to act the way he did. It was because of the way I acted.
So he wasn't apologizing for
He wasn't apologizing
what he
for
was
disciplining
doing.
me.
Yeah, he was apologizing just the way he did it. Or
or just the fact that he had to.
Okay.
Yeah. Like he apologized for the fact that, because he knows I'm upset. So he'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry you're upset, and I'm sorry maybe that I raised my voice at you. But I did it because of this, because you did this."
So it's not so much an apology, it's more of just empathy.
Yeah.
That I know that it's not fun to go through that, but it is something that we all go through.
Yeah. So there's that's a good way to put it. There's a level of empathy there and a certain level of respect to recognize or to have me understand that it's empathy. You know what I mean? He wants me to understand that.
I guess it's kind of like, in a way, that the families that do a lot of discipline or try to hold their kids to a high level of standards, it's more they're trying to treat their kids like adults and the ones that are more lenient and more like they don't really care too much. They're treating their kids as if they're kids. But there's like that in between that's not, they're not adults, they're not kids, they're family. They're people that you have, that no matter what happens, you will always love them for their faults, for their actions, but for them having to learn new things. I think I was watching a Modern Wisdom podcast with the owner of Dry Creek Wrangler School. It's kind of like a cowboy school. And one of the things that Dwayne, the guy talking, the guest on there, was talking about is how you want to be there to help other people, but you also have to let them fall for themselves, be able to fall on the ground and pick themselves back up. So you help them when they want help, and then you don't help them when they need to learn for themselves.
Yeah, there's always a balance. There's definitely a balance of learning from advice, other people's wisdom, and then having your own experiences and gaining that wisdom for yourself.
Yeah. So you meet a lot of people in jiu-jitsu. You meet like the best former military, high-level black belts that have been training for over a decade. What's your perspective on being honest over having harmony, or being honest to create harmony?
Yeah, I think it's about like, as long as you're honest with yourself, you'll find people to harmonize with. You'll find harmony within yourself, and you'll find people to harmonize with. So it's like I've been very into the law of attraction, listening to the audiobook, The Law of Attraction, which really is 3 parts: the law of attraction, the law of deliberate creation, and the law of allowing. And what that speaks on is basically that what you think about, your thoughts, your words, your actions become your experiences. So if you think about wanting good health, I want to have good health, you think about that, you say it out loud, you end up doing things that will ultimately lead to you having a better health, and you will have better health or wealth or whatever it might be. And you will attract people into your life that harmonize with those experiences that you are looking for and those values that you have.
Yeah, I had a question that went right out of my head. Harmony, people.
That's all right. I've been infatuated with that concept, the law of attraction, and especially the law of deliberate creation, how what you do every day affects the things. Like, you literally create your own experiences, whatever it is that you want in your life. If you continue to think about it that way, as what you focus on what you want instead of focusing on the lack of what you want. Because if you focus on not what you don't have, you will only find more of not having it instead of focusing on what you want. Ultimately, that would lead to you getting what you want.
So it's focusing on where you want to be, not where you don't want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going on the highway, you don't look right in front of your vehicle. You look a little bit in the distance, and then you can, you're not, like when I first started driving, my dad taught me that you don't look at right in front of you. You don't look like, oh, I'm in between the lines, I have to move this way, that way. You stare further out in the distance, and then your mind will naturally move the car one way or another to keep you on the side of the road that you're supposed to be on, and not on the wrong side of the road. Yeah. Do Swedes drive on the wrong side?
No, we
of the
drive
road?
the same way as here.
Oh,
yeah.
Darn.
Yeah.
I can't insult you for that.
Yeah, you can't. But yeah, it's very much like that. Like, if you want a red Ferrari, you think about wanting that red Ferrari, you will have that red Ferrari. And it's not just magically going to happen, but your thoughts become your words, and they become your actions. And then that becomes your experiences. If you think about, I want a red Ferrari, but I don't have enough money, then you've cut that possibility out completely, because you are focused on the fact that you don't have what you need.
Right. Is there a big difference to you between focusing on external things, like material things, that like Ferraris or Lamborghinis, like high class things that are valuable. One, because they're manufactured to a high level of quality, but because other people have it, or because like rich people have it. Do you go for more external things or more of like the internal things of like, I made myself better, I'm becoming a better person, and I want to become the best person I could possibly be?
Internal, for sure. Don't get me wrong, I like materialistic things. I like nice cars, things like that. I believe they are a part of my future. But I believe they're a part of my future as a result of me working on my skills and my character every day. Those are the things that I can control, are my skills and my characters, as in my virtues, my beliefs, and my mindset. What I can't control, like my reputation, what other people are going to think about me, what other people are going to say about me, can't control any of that. And there's going to be good things said about me and bad things said about me, regardless of what I do, really. Like, that's just the truth. People are going to say good things about you and bad things about you, no matter what you do. So the only thing that I can really focus on is myself, what I do every day, how I act towards others, how I respond to adversity or to people saying bad things, whatever it might be, that and what actual skills I possess. Those are the only things I can focus on. And by doing that, deliberately creating those skills and creating the experiences and allowing myself to take it all in and absorb it and take it as it comes. Absolutely, I ultimately believe that all those luxurious things will be a part of my future, but just it's a byproduct. It's not the end goal, because then what happens when I get it? You know what I mean? Then what? Am I going to be done? No, because I'm still at a certain point. That Ferrari or that Bentley, it's, you're going to drive it for a while and be like, I'm awesome. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. But after a while, I can imagine at least that it's just going to be your car. You know what I mean? It's like getting a new house. At a certain point, it's just your house.
Yeah, it's just a new standard you set to yourself, and you're not going to go below it, but you don't really need what's at that level to be better.
You absolutely could go below it, though. It could get worse from there. Or if less is what you determine as worse. All depends on how you look at it. And I tend to look at things, just take things a lot at face value. A car is really cool, but at the end of the day, it's a vehicle. You're still using it to get you from point A to point B. The only thing that's special about it is the level of quality and work that people put into it. So yeah, I like high quality things. I like high quality work. Yeah, I like doing high quality work.
It's still back to the law of attraction. If you seek the high quality things will seek you. And is there a good balance between, so if we're talking about harmony, is there a good balance between trying to create a good world where you're being honest in everything, but also not getting into the pitfall of creating a false reality? So as in, you're talking to people, you're trying to show the best of yourself, you're trying to show who you are, but also being honest about it. Like you have the humility, you're saying that I am much better than I was a year ago, but I'm nowhere near other people that I know, and that I still have a lot to learn, but also not creating the false reality that when people compliment you, or I wouldn't say appeal to your vanity, but say things that kind of give that little ego boost. Is there a way where you balance between being humble and getting the compliments and not creating a false reality where you say the things and start getting comfortable with that level of respect that you get from other people?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it obviously feels good to get compliments. It does boost your ego. And that's nice. I don't think there's anything wrong with having your ego boosted, as long as it's like you don't let it get to your head, kind of. Like, I definitely, you get compliments and stuff, but they don't. It feels good, but it's honestly, it's like a regular conversation in the way that I'll probably forget about it in the next few days that it even happened, that you even said that. Just like a negative comment.
Yeah, it might be better to kind of frame it. A lot of people tell me that I look older than I am, right? And it's like, oh, this guy's mature. This guy has some things set in order. And when I first started getting those, it was nice, but I didn't believe it. And I've heard it so many times that now whenever I'm talking about myself or talking about like what I'm doing with this, I try to phrase it in a way where I sound really intelligent, like, and just subconsciously just try to sound intelligent so that I can elicit that compliment of other people saying, "Oh, you're much more mature than you look." And then
So are you trying to do that to get the compliment, or are you just doing that because you understood that somehow that somebody perceived you that way and that made you feel good, so now you want people to perceive you that way?
both. Yeah. Do you ever have that problem in jiu-jitsu or when talking to people?
I don't even think that's a problem. I don't do things to get compliments. I don't say things to get compliments. If I do get one, like, yeah, you make a little note of it, and if it makes you feel good and you want other people to think that way too, then sure, something might change in the way you do things or say things. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to put my thoughts together as best as I can. However people perceive that, people perceive that a lot of different ways. You hear different kind of compliments. Like, I get that one too sometimes, but yeah, it can also depend on the person that is giving you that compliment.
Okay. Do you have any questions you want to ask me?
What do you think about integrity over popularity? What do you make of that?
I have no idea. Integrity over popularity. I guess keeping like your own values over choosing what's popular. I mean, people have their own viewpoints about everything. They'll, like, some people will choose choice A over choice B because choice A is what everyone else does, only to realize that choice B is what actually is the good thing to do because, one, not everyone's doing it because it's more difficult. And there's also the other way. It's like, don't do drugs, do drugs. That's not, like, obviously it's good to go with the popular belief on that, but that's because of integrity rather than what other people choose to do. I don't know if
you'd rather be hated for who you are than loved for who you're not. You could say that.
Yeah. But I also hate the weakest part of myself. So if my integrity to myself isn't as good as what I want it to be, then I would rather be hated for who I am than for who I'm not. Because that's not.
What do you hate the weakest part of yourself? Why is there hate?
It's the side of me that kind of gives into temptations. Like, should I eat a donut? Yeah, I feel like eating a donut. Do I really need to? No, I'm just hungry. I just need something and sometimes just I need water, right? And or if I don't eat properly, or if I don't go to jiu-jitsu or do like enough exercising, that usually causes more problems. And it's like, I mean, yes, there's sometimes like I can justify it, but at the same time, it's still like I didn't have the discipline to do it. So in my mind, that's a weak part of me, that I'm not where I want to be because of the small little things that are keeping me from getting there.
I see what you mean. I would like to say that it doesn't. I don't know. There's no reason, in my opinion, to hate for that. Like, it's such an unnecessary, especially when it comes to yourself. I understand. I have the same, like, discipline is a constant battle, right? It's just tiny battles that happen so many times throughout the day. And yeah, whatever choice you make might affect other choices that you make and turn into how it affects bigger choices and stuff like that. But I think hating, especially on yourself, doesn't lead to a whole lot of good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't hate who I am. So I kind of think of it like three people. There's the future self, my present self, and then my weakest self. Not necessarily my past, but my weakest self. So the future self is the one I want to be, the person that I know is going to be able to take care of my wife properly, be able to raise my kids in a way that they'll be successful and that they'll also instill the values that I have in myself. I have my present me, which is the most, like, kind of like a gray area. So it's not someone who is perfect. It's also someone who's not imperfect. It's almost like a Schrodinger's cat. It's neither there nor not there until it's observed. So it's like a gray area. And then there's the weakest self, which is the person that just keeps doing the things that I know won't get me to my future. So it's not like I hate myself. I just see it as one part of me that if I have to battle something, I'm going to battle that one.
Yeah. That's definitely a good way to think about it. Like, you're battling that part of yourself. Absolutely. And we all do that all the time. I did like how you said your past self basically kind of is your weakest self. That's a good way to think about it.
My weakest self is not my past self. So the way I was doing it, it kind of seemed like there's a future, present, and past, but it's future, present, and weak. Because, or maybe another way.
Why even think of yourself as weak though? You don't need to. Like, even though yes, there's parts of what you want to do that you're struggling to do what's right according to what you think is right, but I don't think that necessarily means it doesn't have to be a weakness thing. It's I would say you said you're not perfect, but you're not perfect either. It's like you're incomplete. Your present self is incomplete because you're in the process of learning, from every action that you take, every mistake that you make, all of your experience.
That would be my present self, the gray area. They're both in the hyper state of both being the future and the weak. It's kind of, so if you kind of think of like, you have order, it's kind of like storytelling. You've got order and then you have chaos. Chaos would be, order would be structure and chaos is the disruption. Order being my future because I know there's a structure, there's a certain level of quality. Of course, I'm not saying that it's going to be 100% perfect. There's still going to be chaos in there, but I'm saying that the small little things won't be a problem. Like, I'm not going to get bogged down by taxes. I'm not going to be bogged down by world events about small little petty little people walking by and saying, oh, that guy looks ugly. Well, yeah, I know I look ugly. You don't have to tell me. I could see the mirror every day. So you have order, which is where I want to be in, and have like the inner peace, the peace of mind. And then you have chaos, which is like the disruption, but in a bad way. It's a disruption that doesn't lead to growth, but it leads to just more destruction and more chaos. And then there's the in-between, the balance, which is taking the good parts of chaos, which is like there's freedom, there's independence, there's challenging my thoughts, challenging of who I am, but also the structure of I have my morals, I have my future aspirations, and I know where I want to be as a person and how I want to get there. And like I want to make sure I create a company that works, that I can help other people, but also make myself better in the process. So it's like a hyper state, a Schrodinger's cat state of both being order and chaos at the same time.
That's cool. That's a good way to think about it. Very complex. I would say the fact that you have that presence of mind says a lot about how you are probably winning those battles more than you think you are.
I thought about all that just now. Yeah.
That's clearly what's going on in your head. So that kind of tells me that I think you're winning a lot of those battles a lot more than you think you do.
I still don't see that I'm winning the battle. I don't see it as like battles. I see it as, what would be not a battle. I don't see it as a battle. It's not like I'm fighting myself or I'm trying to, maybe it's like Jiu-Jitsu. Not fighting myself. I'm not trying to fight someone. I'm trying to learn as much as I can from them, whether or not they're good or bad. So if I was grappling with you, you have the advantage of weight. You're like 50 pounds heavier than I am. But at the same time, there's things that you do that are more technique based rather than weight based. So I can learn what I can from the techniques, how you get on mount, how you get on top, and then how do I go from where I am and try to get you in a way where I can get back on top and stay on top. So it's not so much. It's more of a, what do they call it? It's not a grapple. They call it like a flow. What's another way of grappling?
Oh, like flow rolling?
Flow rolling, yeah. So it's not so much, you're not drilling, you're not grappling, you're just doing a flow, just trying to go from one to another without any competition. I'm trying to go from the order to the chaos to the order to the chaos, and just one with the reminder that I'm constantly improving, but at the same time, I need to learn from this every single time.
Yeah. It's cool. It's a good analogy.
That's just how I think. Just how my brain goes. That's basically why I started the podcast. Just stuff like that, kind of different ways of looking at other things different ways of looking at life without directly relating to certain experiences. Because like I
think the experiences you can draw a lot of the same things from completely different experiences.
So it could be one experience, but then so there's the one experience. Let's say jujitsu, right? You know jujitsu way more than I do. I know podcasting more than you do, but there's that little in between moral that both can tie back to. And that's kind of like the conversations that I try to get to. I don't know if there's anything that
I can't think of anything else. Honestly, feeling a little burnt out too from this. We've been talking for a minute.
yeah. Oh, we can go for a walk around the neighborhood. See if the sunshine will get rid of because it's probably just cortisol, just sitting a lot.
Yeah. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to start out with the when we were taking Toby off for a walk. It was interesting how you held the leash at the handle, and the way I hold the leash was closer to Toby, kind of like how you would kind of have you walk horses.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hold the reins far away. You hold it close to the horse's head. This way you can control the horse while you're walking, because horses are animals of prey, so they will naturally want to go away from anything scary. So if you control the horse, you control the horse, not just have the horse control you, because that's 1 ton of weight going wherever. Nah, no.
No.
You don't want to get crushed by that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. So I was wondering if that mindset kind of applies to jiu-jitsu. How like if you don't hold yourself tightly, you might wander to other places, other things along the path that you're going on, but also that you don't like hold it really tight where everything feels like a strain on the neck.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge difference between someone that's just like super tense when you're rolling, or someone that's, or when you're. It's even better during instruction if someone's trying to teach a move and you're the training partner that they're showing it on and you're super tense, or you're the opposite and you're like spineless and you just kind of flop around. Like both of them make it very difficult to do anything or show anything. You have to be in the middle. You have to be a little bit athletic, not even in a sense of like having athletic attributes, just, you're still a person. Just remember that you have a spine, but you're not like resisting during the move. Yeah, that's what I would say.
I don't know where to go with that.
Now, that was an interesting segue. I didn't think that that's where you were going with that. It was kind of funny how we were talking about that. And then as soon as we walk in the door, my mom is like, tell me about it one more time, but I'm scared of change. I was like, yeah.
Resistance to change is really hard to do, especially when you're so comfortable with the way that you're doing things. Especially like when you're at home, you want to be comfortable. You want to be with people that you don't feel like you have to be tensed around or you have to be another person with, right? You do that with the rest of the world. When you're at home, you want to feel safe, right? It's just when things, it's kind of like Jordan Peterson's quote, clean up your bedroom. If you don't have your own house in order, then there's no way that you can try to help other people get their lives together or to help them out. So when small little things like converting from a subscription service to a one-time payment but requires a little more time to convert to, like if you have cable and then you're switching over to something that's not cable, it's kind of like what I told your mom. There's the level of education, or the resistance, or not resistance. There's a resistance that's caused because you need to educate yourself on the new thing that you're learning. And that resistance is because, one, you're comfortable with what was, but you also have to be comfortable with what will be. So if you don't focus on the fact that you're going to change and you're going to be a better person or be more efficient in what you're doing, then it can be really easy to just be comfortable with the way things were.
It's easy to be comfortable with what you know as opposed to what you don't know, even if what you don't know is actually better.
Yeah. And I think that applies a lot to jiu-jitsu. When you're rolling, when you're learning a new move, or you're relearning a move that you saw before but you never really understood because at the time you didn't know how to move yourself. It's humbling, but it's also enabling, because now you went from a state of, I didn't understand this, to now I understand it and I know it better before, and now I can retain it because the path of least resistance has significantly gone down.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that with the way our curriculum is set up is in a 12-week cycle. So you see a lot of material through those 12 weeks, and not a lot of it is going to stick, especially not in the beginning. And then you go through the cycle again and you see moves, much like you said, that you didn't understand before, or you didn't know how to move yourself in that way before. And now that you're seeing it for the second, a third, the fourth time, you're starting to understand it.
Yeah. And if it doesn't click after the fourth time, there's something's going wrong.
Yeah, it might. I mean, some stuff doesn't. Like, sometimes, like, the really advanced stuff, like inverting and spinning moves, things like that, can sometimes take a lot of time to understand and to be able to move your body that way, especially if you're not used to doing athletic things.
Yeah. Cause you probably have to break this down for me, but there's submissions, or there's a submissive positions, and then there's dominant positions, and then you kind of have like a scale between that. And as you're rolling, you kind of go from dominant to submissive to dominant, or dominant to not so dominant to dominant to not so dominant. If you were to apply that to like real life, or to life off the mats, of having to kind of, like, when you're talking to people, when you're communicating with people, going from like I have to back up because I know that they're being aggressive or something, or that they know more than me, so I have to be a little humble and realize that I have to learn something from them, to also being like, hey, there's something I could probably teach them and maybe help them with whatever they're doing. Do you see that kind of like you can apply that off the mats?
Yeah, I wouldn't see it as much as like dominant versus submissive. It's more of it's a give and take kind of thing. So push and pull, you give some to take some, and it all depends on There's a lot of communication that goes on when you're rolling, like unspoken, like
Body language,
the way people, where they put pressure, how they grip you, how they grab, like all that stuff will tell you a little bit about what it is they're trying to do. And your job is to just have the answers, and you communicating things back to them about what you're trying to do. I think the more you can understand with less information, or without with the unspoken information and unspoken communication, the better off you will be. And that's the same thing in life too. I think it's a lot of people, you get a lot of times you can get focused on trying to communicate very bluntly or very explicitly. I would say like spoken, like how, guys want girls to just tell us what they want, right? And girls are more like, I would like for you to just know what I want without having to say it to you. It's kind of that kind of a push and pull thing in jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of both. There's a lot of, this is what I'm trying to do, and there's a lot of, I'm gonna tiptoe around some things. I'm gonna give you some things. I'm gonna take some things, and you're gonna have to figure out what it is I'm trying to communicate.
Yeah. And then Dave is like, you can get them and you can try to submit them, or you can just play with them. Just keep going around and around in circles until they get tired. And then you have, it's what he says. You go into the role, you get everything done. You can either do it all in one go, or you can have the endurance to just to wear them out, and then you can get them with a much easier move, or get them with a much easier submission.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of different ways to approach a role. Like, someone will just impose their tactics on you immediately and try to get to that submission as quickly as possible, and other people will treat it like they're playing with their food.
So it's more self-control. Like, you learn a lot about how to control what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool when you first start out. I mean, you're fighting for your life every role because everyone else is better than you. And then you start to learn moves that ultimately get you to the positions to where you start to beat people. You start to submit people or beat them on points, whatever it is. But then you get to another level where you get better, and you start to have the presence of mind to like calm down and really think about what it is you ultimately want to do. Think about what it is they're doing, where your opening is, or openings are multiple, and to process that information, to have that presence of mind, and then aptly choosing what it is you want to do instead of being so amped up because it's a fight. That, I think that's a really cool point to get to. And that's something that I'm starting to be able to do that. Like when I roll with lower, like with say white belts and blue belts and stuff. But then so I'm like, okay, I'm able to do this. I can think about things. I can stay calm during the grapple and really pick my pick and choose what it is I want to do, but then you grapple someone that's better than you again, and you're like, oh my God, I'm just fighting for my life here. And you're like, you can't think about much at all because they're just not giving you that time or space.
That's something that I started learning that I think it's been about 6 months since I started. And when I started out, of course, everyone was better than me. But now whenever I'm with someone, I'm rolling or maybe drilling with someone that just started, it's so humbling, but also kind of cool to see that, because they don't know how to move their body. They don't know how to, like, you show them something, they're like, is it this way or that way? And then they're like, try to move their legs one way, move their arms another way. And it's just like understanding that it's easy to see how much you've grown over even a span of 6 months, which isn't really a long time. But when you get the reps in and you understand your own self-control and be able to move your body the way that your brain wants it to be moved, and be able to say, I want to go this way with this position, I have to make sure I have my body in this way. And not being scared of like there would be times where I was like, you have to put your leg all the way out further than would be normally comfortable. Because, the natural position for humans is the fetal position, to be crunched up and to be in a very comfortable position. But when you start extending out your entire body to everywhere that's further than like your little circle, it feels really uncomfortable. But in jiu-jitsu, you need to do that because people can grab your legs, pull it over and be like, that's a nice leg lock, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, what was I going to say? Yeah, it's really cool to have that. That's something that you'll always have if you keep training, is you can measure kind of how far you've gotten with when you roll with people that are new. There's going to be people that come in that are brand new, like, they're just going to roll in, and every once in a while you just see how much easier it is for you to deal with those people that have no experience, and you just know that, so long, like 6 months ago, I was that person. Now only 6 months have passed, and I can pretty much have my way with someone that is brand new, or someone might be way bigger and stronger, and you still can't have your way with them, even though they have no experience, and you have 6 months worth. But then you'll see when you have 12 or 18 months worth of experience, then someone that's brand new comes in and they are much bigger and stronger than you, but you'll still be able to have your way with them. So it's just kind of that progression.
Yeah. And it's also kind of nice because the entire world around me, like what I do professionally, what I try to do educationally and everything can be like fully like full of chaos and everything. But cool thing about jiu-jitsu is, one, having the consistency, two, having the intent of wanting to learn and doing that every day or every 2 days consistently, every week, weeks to months. It just shows the power of how being consistent, being intentful, like having the intent to learn and doing that with a passion will change something in less time than it takes other people.
Mm-hmm. That's how it is for everyone. Jiu-jitsu is like the one place for a lot of people to just put their outside life on hold for a couple hours and just focus on a craft. I think that's a really healthy thing to have for a lot of people.
Yeah, you say you get lost in it. Like, that's the one time where you can actually focus on what you want to get done.
Yeah.
And there's like the world falls apart.
Exactly. There's nothing else outside those four walls. I don't even think about what's outside those walls. 2 hours goes by, 3 hours, 4 hours. I was there yesterday for like 5 hours.
Yeah. It's just doing something that you love. You don't care about the time. You don't care about the effort. You just care about doing it and keep doing it, and then being better than you were yesterday. There's a quote that I know when you're referring to the other gyms, how they're more aggressive, more like, I want to win, beat this person. There's a quote that I know that the enemy is out there, not in here. That the people that you're rolling with, your gym, your community, are friendly people. They're not the people you want to attack. Right. And even in a competition, you're not trying to attack them, right? You're not trying to attack your opponent. You're trying to beat them, but also it's still a friendly fight, right? You're not trying to like break their arm. You're not trying to actually put them into a submission and they get choked out. They're not the enemy.
No, I would prefer for them to tap, sure, but that is what I'm putting them in a situation where I'm like, hey, that is going to happen. Like, I will do that if you don't give up right now.
Yeah, it's just it's being able to be very dangerous, but also having the kindness to people who can't help themselves. Mm-hmm. And there's also that level of responsibility. If you go out in the real world, even though no one's holding you accountable and no one's saying that you have to help other people, there's just that inherent need that I can protect someone if I have to. And if someone's in danger, or if I can, not to be a hero, not to have like that hero mentality, like, oh, I'm going to save the day and help someone else. But if someone's like truly in danger, it's not just physical danger, but if like they're like emotionally in danger, or like, you can kind of detect when people are having a bad day or something, like there's that level of responsibility that you've done a lot of work in your life, or at least I've done a lot of work in my life, that I can help other people and not just kind of ignore the small little things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Like when you become more intelligent, you become like a higher, I'm not saying I'm very intelligent, but when you start learning more things and you can do things that other people can't, and you kind of realize that most people don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They don't want to be a better person. They just want to be comfortable with the world that they are in, the 9 to 5 job, to have that routine of, I go to work at 9, get there, do my stuff, get lunch, finish everything by 5, and come back home and watch TV until 8. And they just do that same cycle all the time. They don't have that internal drive. And I think it was Jordan Peterson who said that intelligence is a moral responsibility.
Yeah, sure. And it's like you don't blame people for being ignorant. Try to help them gain some perspective instead. You can't blame someone for not having an understanding of how their body moves, or how to fight, or if they're not as smart as someone else, whatever smart might mean. But yeah, it's a moral responsibility to try to make sure that you use your knowledge for good.
Yeah. Do you remember that one scene from Avatar: The Last Airbender when Uncle Iroh is helping that one bandit who's trying to rob him fix his stance and his position?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, so Uncle Iroh is kind of just sitting, drinking tea, and this bandit comes up and says, hey old man, I'm gonna steal from you. And he has a knife, but his body's all crooked. His feet are tilted inward instead of like outward, like a good stance. And so Uncle Iroh, instead of being like offended or trying to be like, I'm an old man, why are you trying to attack me? He helps the person see that there's a better way of doing this. Even though, yes, you're a bandit and you're not doing the right thing, you can still be helped. I mean, that's kind of like character development. You have the desire, which is what the character wants and the character needs. What do they need to grow, and what do they want that doesn't necessarily help them grow? And their need can be their want, and their want can be their need. But overall, you have like what will help them internally and what will help them externally, or what they want externally. And kind of like Prince Zuko is this little ball of chaos. Is like, yeah, he wants to please his father and be redeemed, and that's his destiny to get the avatar. But then you have Uncle Iroh, who's kind of like, that's not your destiny. Your destiny does not come from the outside. It comes from within. It comes from what you want to do and how you can help the world. Not the entire world, just the world that you live in. And make someone else's day better so that they can help with someone else. Because everyone's going to have their bad day. Everyone's going to have their little downfall. And then if you don't have to help everyone, but you just have to help the people that don't take too much time, and they can help themselves once they can see that they are worth helping. Kind of apply that to Jiu-Jitsu. When you're working with someone as a lower belt, you're doing the same things you've done 100,000 times, especially if you're a black belt. You've done it like 1 billion times and you've seen it before, but you kind of also see in their eyes, their gears are turning, like they're trying to learn something new, and you can help them by not doing anything, by just like, if they're trying to go one way, you kind of just add a little resistance and be like, you can't do that. Try this. And like, oh, that does make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That happens all the time. And the black belts that I'm around, they always say the only difference between me and you is time on the mat. And like Dave always says, the only one thing he has more of than like everybody like in the gym combined is losses. Because he's been doing it for so long. And learned so much. He was like in my shoes where I'm at, as a blue belt competitor. And he took a lot of losses on the way to being this really good grappler that he is now, as almost a black belt for almost, closing in on 10 years.
Good decisions comes from experience. Experience comes from making bad decisions. So Dave's done has a lot of really good decisions now because he gets it from his experience. Yeah. but he also learned from it. He didn't just let it happen again. It's not like,
Well, at that point, what are you even, you know, if you're not trying to learn, then you're just doing it for fun. That definitely is a difference between an amateur and a professional mindset. Like he says all the time, the amateur practices a move till he does it right, till he can do it right. Professional practices a move until they can't do it wrong.
so that was 30 minutes.
Should we wrap up?
If you want to. I think it's been like 6 hours.
Yeah, it's probably a good
I
idea to
got
wrap
here.
up. I don't think we're going to get a lot more quality conversation out of this.
What's one last thing you want to say? Either something you want to tell yourself in 10 years or something that you hope to be able to tell yourself 10 years from now, looking back, of who you are and why you didn't want to stop.
What I would like to tell myself. Wait, say that again?
What do you want to tell yourself in 10 years? The
Tell
person.
myself in 10 years. The person I am in 10 years. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep believing in yourself. It's going to work out. It's all going to be fine. You're going to be exactly where you want to be and where you need to be. If you just don't listen to anyone else. It's going to be a lot of editing for you, man.
Assuming I want to edit it. Just do all this. Oops, I think I lost all the footage. Sorry, man. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure as always.